Hi, my name's Bren. This short upper body yin yoga practice could help to release some tension from the neck and shoulders. We will also be stimulating the lung and large intestine meridian lines that run on the thumb side and the pinky side of the arm. So this is a practice that relates to autumn in the philosophy of Chinese medicine, five-element theory, and yin yoga. I would like you to have some kind of prop available for your practice today, whether that's a yoga block or a bolster, or you could also use a rolled up blanket or a spare yoga mat as well. We'll start in any comfortable seated position. I'm going to sit on my yoga block, kneeling comfortably. Take just a moment to arrive into your practice. That might mean you let out a sigh. If you're not watching this on your phone, set your phone aside or turn the volume down. Close the door if you can. Allow yourself to settle into this space of your practice. We'll begin with a stretch for the fingers and wrists. That might look like hands on your hips, and perhaps you're already feeling some sensation there. To find a deeper stretch or some more sensation here, you can think about turning your fingertips up towards your shoulders, heels of your hands down towards your hips. And we'll spend about 10 slow breaths here. If you get distracted, that's okay. Come back to the breath. We're paying attention to the breath right now for about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do take care to exit slowly. Gradually release your hands. Any gentle freestyle movement that the body asks for is welcome. I'm feeling like opening and closing my fists. Maybe some movement through the wrists would feel good. We'll head towards child's pose as our next posture, moving your prop, if you have one, to the top of your practice space. Big toes towards each other behind you, hips as wide as you like. And crawl your hands towards the top of your mat. Ideally, your forehead can rest down on something. And continue to reach your fingers forward, really stretching through shoulders and armpits. Perhaps you're reaching so far forward that your elbows are lifted up away from the mat. We'll be here for about a minute. Option to take this stretch a little bit deeper. You might tent your fingertips with palms lifted and hang out here. Or you can step your hands up onto that prop if you have one. Adding a bit more pressure, letting the shoulders sink down with the force of gravity. See if you can watch about 8 more cycles of breath go by on their own. 3, 2, 1. Dismounting off of your prop, and start to walk your hands in towards your knees. We'll spend a moment before we go to our next posture. Find any intuitive movement that would feel good. Maybe roll the shoulders. Heading next for open wing, a stretch for the front of the shoulder. Set your prop aside. We'll start by lying down on the belly, right arm extended out at about shoulder height. Right cheek could be resting down. You could keep your arm extended here, or you could move your arm a little closer towards your hip at any time. And you could start to roll onto your outer right hip and outer right leg line. Palm of the right hand down. See if that feels like a reasonable and sustainable place to spend another minute or so. For folks wanting to increase sensation, they might bend the left knee and step the left foot back behind them. Be in a place where you can breathe. Some might like to place a pillow or blanket beneath the head if there's a gap there between right temple and mat. Three, 2, 1. Rolling onto the front body, and take your time to gather in that right arm. You might pause for a moment here with both arms gathered in, forehead resting down. As you're ready, we'll find that on the other side. This time, left arm extended. Left cheek resting down. As you're ready, roll onto the outer left hip, outer left leg line. You might like to adjust the placement of your left arm. Check in if this is a reasonable place to spend another minute or two. To increase sensation, some might choose to step their top foot back behind them. Allowing about 8 more cycles of breath pass by. Three, 2, 1. rolling onto the front body. You could gather in both arms and pause for a moment here, forehead resting down. This has been our open wing posture. Let's now find a closed wing. And there are 3 different ways that might look. Closed wing is a stretch for the outer shoulder this time. So in no particular order, option 1, lying down on the belly like this, you could bring one forearm in front of the other and start to deepen and crawl your hands away from each other, elbows towards the midline. Maybe you're here, maybe you rest the forehead down on a prop or let the head hang. Option 2, sort of a child's pose variation. Thread one arm underneath the other and rest the head on a block or onto the mat. Option 3, seated, draw one arm across the body. We're all looking for that outer shoulder stretch. So I'll give you a moment to settle into the variation that feels best for you today. We will do that on each side, no matter which option you're choosing. We'll do the other arm next. We'll spend about 1 minute in each position. Anytime you notice you've become distracted, invite your awareness back to the breath. We'll take about 4 more breaths here. We'll start to release. If you're in one of those prone variations, do take your time to inch your way out. And when you're ready, head over to the other side. Other arm on top or in front this time. Watching 3 more breaths here. Gradually release and start to make your way up to a seated position. There's no rush to get there. The focus today is on the upper body, but if you'd like to add a little stretch for the hips, you're welcome to join me in half shoelace pose, starting with legs extended. You can bend the right knee and step the right foot over to the left side of the left leg. That might be plenty stretch for the hips. Maybe you externally rotate and set the outer edge of that right foot down, sort of like you're stacking the knees. When you arrive in your seated position, sit up nice and tall, fingertips touch down on either side of your hips. And then we'll start to tip the left ear towards the left shoulder. Sit up tall, just the head is tilting. And then start to crawl the fingers of your right hand farther away from you. You might start to feel sensation on the right hand side of the neck. We'll spend about a minute here, a couple options to enhance or change the sensation you're feeling in the neck. You might reach those extended right fingers a little bit behind you, sort of reaching back at a diagonal. Another option is to keep the tilt of your head, but also start to turn your nose down towards your left shoulder, changing the angle of that neck stretch. A few more breaths here. Take care to release very slow. When you're ready, head comes back through neutral. Hand comes back to your side. Any little movements that you'd like are welcome. Releasing your shoelace legs if you chose that variation with the lower body. To go to the other side, left knee bends, left foot crosses over. Maybe you're here, maybe outer edge of the foot touches down like you're stacking the knees. From whatever your seated position, sit up tall, arms extend, fingers crawl away from you. And this time a right ear towards right shoulder. Keep sitting up tall, and you could crawl the left fingertips farther away. A couple more options. Your left fingertips could reach back at a diagonal. And or you could tilt your nose down towards your right shoulder. How about 3 more breaths here? Take your time to bring the head back to neutral, arms back to neutral, and release your lower body stretch. Let's find supported fish pose or an open shavasana next. If you have a prop, whether that's a bolster or a block or something else, you can place that beneath your spine. I have a block, so I'm going to position that lengthwise beneath my shoulder blades. If you had a blanket roll or bolster, you'd place that longwise beneath your spine. In supported fish pose, we're opening the chest and the shoulders. See if you can find palms facing up. Allow the shoulders to roll back. If you don't have a prop, that's perfectly fine. You can find a reclined position. Roll the shoulders back and down. Let the palms face up towards the ceiling. Maybe butterfly legs, soles of the feet together, knees open wide, or another preferred lower body position. Let's spend 1 minute here. If you get distracted, come back to the breath. How does this breath feel? And this one. Five. 4. 3. 2. 1. If you have that prop beneath your spine, do take care to roll over to one side to dismount. You can shuffle that prop out of your way and come back onto the back body. It might feel nice to rock the head gently from side to side. See how it would feel to make some small nodding motions up and down. And when you're ready, find your way back up to a seated position. Find a couple movements with the shoulders. You could roll and shrug the shoulders. See how it would feel to inhale, reach the arms out and up, palms or fingers could touch overhead. Exhale, draw the hands down the midline to the front of the chest. Thank you for joining me in practice today.